Hey everybody. If you look here, I am looking at page 8 of 14 in Unit 2, Lesson 3, Rational and Irrational Numbers. This example here I thought was a little hard to follow, and I thought it would be nice to see it on a number line. So if this example makes sense to you and you don't need help with it, don't watch me do this. But if you thought it was a little bit confusing, let's take a look at it together. All right. So the first thing I want to do here, it says about how large is the square root of 2. I want to remind you that what we're doing here is called approximating. Okay, approximating is when we say, oh, it's close, right? Pi is close to 3.14. Okay, 3.14-ish. Close. Okay, so here what it says is that since we know that 2 is greater than 1 but less than 4, we're going to guess that the square root is going to be between 1 and 2. What the heck does that mean? Okay, and we're going to start by guessing that the square root of 2 is between 1 and 1.5. So look at this pink number line I have down here. Okay, why are they going between 1 and 2? Here's why. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. And those are our perfect square numbers, okay? They didn't choose those by accident. The first step to this process is to think about our perfect square numbers and figure out where our number is between. We want the square root of 2, so that's going to be in between 2 squared and 1 squared, or 1 and 4. All right. So the square root of 2 here, this is a crucial thing here. They're just guessing. Okay. We know that root 2 has to be somewhere between root 1 and root 4, but we don't know where. Could be here, could be here, could be here. We don't really know. Okay. So what they're going to have us do here is we're going to make this guess of 1.5, and then we're going to go from there. So first they do this work here. They say 1.5 squared is 2.25. Okay. Here's what they're talking about. Okay. If you take the square root of 2.25, you're going to get 1.5. How do I know that? Well, because squares and square roots are opposite. Okay, 1 squared was 1, so square root of 1 was 1. 2 squared was 4, so square root of 4 was 2. Okay, 1.5 squared was 2.25, so the square root of 2.25 is going to have to be 1.5. All right, so basically, if you look at my number line, what we have on the top is we're putting the guess squared under the radical. Okay, if that makes any sense. Okay, and at the bottom we have our square root. Okay, so the numbers above the number line are our guess squared, square rooted. Below the line we have our square root. All right, and we're still looking for the square root of 2. So now they make these other guesses. Okay, look at the first one. 1.1 squared is 1.21. You guys, here's 1.1. I've split this number line into tenths. So there's 1.1. That would be the square root of 121. 1.21, sorry. Okay, I'm thinking 11 and 121, but it's got that decimal. Okay, so now we keep going because we know that 2 is bigger than 1.21. All right, we're still looking for square root of 2. Okay, right now we've got some boundaries. We know it's going to be less than 1.5 there in blue, but bigger than the one in green, 1.21. Now we try 1.2. That's right here. Okay, 1.2 times 1.2 is this guy, 1.44. Okay, that's still not big enough because again, I am looking for the square root of 2. So let's try something bigger. And that's what they do next here. They try 1.3. They got 1.69. Here's 1.3. That would be the square root of 1.69. That's still not big enough, but we're close, right? Okay. And then check it. They try 1.4 and it's super close. So close to 2, right? 1.4 times 1.4 is 1.696. Ooh. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, let me get the brightest color I can find, this nice purple. That means that the square root of 2 has to be somewhere in here, right? Because 2 is going to be in between 1.696 and 2.25. 1.96 is greater than 2, which is less than 2.25. Okay, so we've narrowed it in really well. We know that it's going to be pretty close to 1.4 squared. Sorry, to the square root of 1.4 squared. So square root of 2, we're going to be like, it's really close. It's approximately 1.4. All right, because 1.4 squared was 1.96, and that's really, really close to 2. All right, that's the best I can do with this, you guys. Don't stress about this one too much. All right.